Hello everyone, this is Brandon Thomas back again with another YouTube video. Today I'm going to be sharing my brief thoughts on this article that was posted on the 17th, 3 days ago, which was written by Lila Shapiro. This is of course entitled The Undoing of Joss Whedon. This was his article that was released to respond to the allegations that have been levied against him over the last couple of years, namely from actors during his time doing the reshoots for Justice League, the 2017 travesty that's now forever known as Justice League. This is basically the allegations that have been levied against him from the actors Ray Fisher, Gal Gadot, and actresses from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, with Charisma Carpenter and Michelle Trachtenberg. Now, this article was, I guess, intended to share his side of the story and give the opportunity for him to respond. And like most logical people, we have to hear both sides of the story in order to get a better understanding of what happened. But the way this article is released and how he responded to these allegations was so tone deaf and self-indulgent. I think this article had the opposite effect than what it was intended. And the fact that it was released on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, when one of the accusers, a person of color who has been championing against this behavior that he's been fighting against and everything, he's lost probably a lucrative role in Cyborg in the DCEU, but he is not relenting in making sure his truth is being heard, and there should be accountability being held for people's actions on set and behind the scenes. So just his responses to these allegations is completely tone deaf and narcissistic and self-serving. It just adds a lot more merit to these allegations. I'm pretty sure some people basically still are not on the side of believing or accepting these words as their truth and everything. But nonetheless, I'm going to talk about a couple of things in this article which really caused me to shake my head in absolute and utter disgust, because like I'm sure like many of you, we were the Joss Whedon worshippers. Anything the guy made was like pure gold. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, Firefly, Dollhouse, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, of course his work on the Avengers in 2012 and the sequel Age of Ultron. He could do no wrong in the eyes of other people, but some of these unsavory things that have been coming out about him over the past decade or so, it really makes you stop and wonder our obsession, our point of deifying these people whose work we respect in terms of music, movies, sports, what have you. Our point of deifying these people, and how we're absolutely and utterly shocked when they turn out to be fallible human beings, or in some cases to be terrible human beings in the way they conduct themselves and treat other people. But his response to these allegations, like I said, completely head scratching, and it caused me to shake my head in disbelief. Namely, in regards to Gal Gadot, who plays Wonder Woman in the DCEU as it stands right now, and Ray Fisher, who plays Cyborg in Justice League and Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. But his response to Gal Gadot, basically stating, according to account of his, while he was doing the reshoots for Justice League, she stated that he did not understand how superhero movies worked, and he took that as an insult, seeing as he had directed the highest grossing superhero movie of all time at that moment, at that point in history. He said he stopped the production and stated that he had never worked with a ruder group of people, and all the actors on set fell silent to that allegation. And also, when she had apprehension towards a scene that she didn't want, or she wanted it cut from the movie, he stated that she misunderstood him, stating that English was not her first language and he tends to be annoyingly flowery in his speech. To basically conclude that an actress that has basically been a part of one of the biggest female led movies, let alone superhero movies, of that time in 2017, to state that she did not understand English. The lady had a career for like numerous years in America, albeit it wasn't the level of Wonder Woman, but she still has a substantial role in the Fast and Furious sequels that she appeared in before her character was killed. I think it was in Fast and the Furious 6. The state that she did not understand English, that's out borderline insulting and very stereotypical. In regards to Ray Fisher, he collaborated with Zack Snyder in developing the script for his characterization of Cyborg Victor Stone, because Zack Snyder wanted to make sure that Fisher, at least Cyborg, or at least black people, were represented correctly in this movie. And seeing how Cyborg was the center of Justice League in Zack Snyder's Justice League, not in that truncated version that we saw in 2017, it was very clear this was going to be the most paramount and most important decision. But Whedon had cut all of that out and basically relegated Cyborg's character into uttering a catchphrase. It's the one that's associated with him, but still, nonetheless, in terms of his character development and growth that we saw in Zack Snyder's Justice League, is like borderline insulting to that character. Fisher had pushback against that, and he stated that he felt that it was going to be reinforcing these stereotypes. And when he questioned Whedon on this, Whedon, according to Fisher, has said, "It feels like I'm taking notes right now, and I don't take notes from anybody, not even Robert Downey Jr." To invoke Robert Downey Jr.'s name, who at that time was the face of the MCU, has basically brought you guys the most money with the success of Iron Man. He's one of the most integral parts of the MCU at that time, and to say that Robert Downey Jr. he doesn't even take notes from Robert Downey Jr. No need of you bringing him in there at all. Absolutely insulting. And then with the claim about Whedon lighting the skin tone of an actor of color's complexion because he didn't like that skin tone, Whedon denied that, called those allegations false and unjust. This was published in a Forbes article, which I'll leave linked in the description below. He called it, which was ultimately taken out of that article as well. He basically stated that the reason why he cut Cyborg scenes from the movie is because the storyline made no sense logically, and that Fisher was a bad actor. I'm pretty sure Mr. Whedon has not watched Zack Snyder's Justice League. And in terms of his own self-pride, in order to not even to take the losses and just watch it, I'm not even sure if he watched it or not. Pretty sure he didn't. But if he read the tea leaves, so to speak, since he wants to loft himself up as this guru on the hill, as is referenced in his article, he would see that Cyborg's character is the most important and the most integral to the overall story. Most people would contend, like I would, that this movie, Justice League, was actually his movie in the better part of the word, and he was responsible for some most emotionally poignant scenes in this movie. And to label him as bad acting, that is so disrespectful. He references Fisher's motives as basically being a malevolent force, a bad actor in both senses. To call him a liar and say he's a bad actor, completely in poor taste. And basically insulting Miss Godot and her proficiency in the English language, and saying that she didn't understand him, saying that he tended to have an annoying speech, flowery speech when he's talking to people. That's insulting as well. His dealings with Charisma Carpenter, who played Cordelia on the Buffy and Angel shows respectively, was disrespectful. His response to these allegations is basically just lend more credence to them. And the fact that these allegations, the same type of allegations that have been coming forth against him over the last few years, it just further reinforces that he is this narcissist that basically thinks so high and mighty of himself that this article was this piss poor attempt to try to reclaim some of that former glory that he had lost. Another thing that was very unsettling was with Michelle Trachtenberg, who played Buffy's younger sister on the series. There was a rule that forbid Whedon from being alone in a room with her on set. Whedon seems to have no idea about this whole thing. Trachtenberg didn't want to elaborate whenever Miss Shapiro reached out for an interview with her, I'm sorry. But one person that did work closely with her on Buffy did state that an informal rule did exist, even though it was possible that Whedon was not aware of it. This is stemmed from a meeting that happened during the 7th season of Buffy when Trachtenberg was 16 years old. He had called her into his office for a closed-door meeting. The person close to Trachtenberg did not know what happened, but recalled Trachtenberg was shaken afterward. A person in her inner circle created the rule in response. As you go further and further reading on this article, it just further reinforces that these allegations that have been levied against him, there's a lot more truth to them than most people will lead you to believe. We want to hear both sides, and that is the fair and logical thing we should do in all society, whether it'll be on social media, whatever, because social media is just an echo chamber, I would contend. But reading this article, and if you had the time and the patience and the stomach to read it, I suggest you do so. If you care about this, if you love Zack Snyder's Justice League as much as I did, and I'm pretty sure many of people have, you see it constantly trending. It's hashtags and related to Restore the Snyderverse. I Stand with Ray Fisher, released the Ayer cut, released the Batfleck movie, Henry Cavill's Superman, what have you. What everything was related to Zack Snyder's universe that he had created in Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's more than just a hashtag. It's related to more to a person's vision. And by all accounts, the guy is an absolute sweetheart. He's probably one of the nicest people that you would meet, at least referring to Zack Snyder. I haven't heard any allegations being levied against Mr. Snyder at all over the course of his career. Most people contend he's probably one of the nicest guys working in Hollywood, and he does not deserve hardly any of the crap that he has to deal with on a daily basis, which is unbelievable. But Whedon, because he directed and showrun some of the most successful shows in in history, he deserves a pass. Even though these allegations that have been coming forth against him over the past 10 plus years seem to be the most consistent in terms of the framing, in terms of his behavior, his attitude towards people, personal life as well, which to each his own. Whatever you may view it. It just basically goes to show how the culture of fandom is a two-edged sword. It's the thing that we do when we deify people whose work we respect or enjoy, as that we're so utterly shocked whenever they have a fall from grace, or they basically show that they are in fact human beings. But just the callousness and how tone deaf he is in response to this article, and this was a piss poor attempt in order to basically paint him as this tragic, flawed hero trying to reclaim his glory, or basically make his own mea culpa to these allegations and show that he's in the process of mending himself. It had the opposite effect, I think. I read this article and was completely disgusted by the end. If you cared about this stuff, I'm pretty sure you will as well. Like I stated, I will leave the articles that are referenced in this video, or referenced here in this in the description down below. Read it for yourself and make your own conclusion. If you agree or disagree with me or not, let's have a civil discussion or discourse down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified of any new projects or videos I put on this channel going forward. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.